Hello friends, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, with a really fun technique for you today. And what I really love about it is that you're going to be using stuff you already have, I'm pretty sure. Here's a card I made last night, this little magnolia image. This was, I think, a hostess stamp from Stampin' Up! Back in 2002. Isn't it pretty? But you can use whatever flower stamp you want. So I colored this with just my plain colored pencils. And I thought, well, that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to do a tutorial on how to color that. And then I thought, well, I know a lot of people had asked me about blending your regular colored pencils. And I thought, well, I remember Annette over at About Art Accents telling me that you could use baby oil to blend your colored pencils. And I thought, well, I don't know, that doesn't sound like that would work. I've always used Goo Gone or alcohol in the past. But I thought, you know what, a lot of people are really sensitive to smelly stuff. And I don't like to keep too much flammable stuff around. So I grabbed this, honestly, it's been around since my kids were babies, I think. Look at this little bottle of baby oil. So I grabbed it. I squirt a little cup here. I'm just going to squirt some in there so you know I'm not jiving you here. And I thought, well, I'm going to give that a try. Let's see if that'll work. And then, so just for a little example, before I did the video, it's nice to do it first, I colored it and blended it, and lo and behold, it worked. And it was a lot quicker coloring it this way than it was doing it here with just using the straight colored pencils. So you can see the look is a little more vibrant and more transparent when we blend it, and it's a little bit more opaque and satiny. Gives you a satin sheen when you're using just the pencil. So let's get to it. I'm going to show you how to do this. I stamped this with Memento black ink, and the reason I used that was because I knew that if I used my alcohol markers with it and it worked and it didn't bleed, then it probably wasn't going to bleed with my oils here. So I'm going to start with a nice dark purpley mauve color. This is called Dahlia Purple, and I'm going to go in on my petals, and I'm going to color in all the shadows. Now if that makes you nervous going in with the darks first, I know a lot of people are nervous, you can go ahead and actually base coat them all with a lighter purple. This is just lavender. If you're using Prismacolors, you don't have to use Prismacolors. Use whatever brand you have. Honestly, don't run out to the store and buy new colored pencils just so you can do this technique. My point is to use what you have, because then you got more money for other fun stuff, right? I'm gonna try to keep my hand out of the way. I noticed that when I watch my videos back that I've got my big old hand in the way and you can't see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna try to keep it out of the way. So generally I work on colored paper when I use my colored pencils because I like that look. It makes it quicker because then I have all this background that I don't have to worry about. But I've had so many requests to do colored pencils with a solvent. So that's why I'm doing that here. So with that base color in there, you've got your, your lighter tones. Then you can go in with your medium tones. Honestly, it doesn't really matter how you get the color on this. If you're going to be blending it with the baby oil, it doesn't matter because you're going to smooth all that out. So it doesn't matter if it looks streaky now. Isn't that great? You can be really sloppy and it's going to look fabulous. Love that. And I'm just, honestly, I'm just throwing in my medium values here. It will be a little bit more vivid when you're done, so keep that in mind. Unlike, working with watercolor pencils or watercolors, this is actually going to be darker. So I'm leaving some kind of white areas there where I want it to have more of a highlight. And I'm going with my Dahlia Purple here. This is the one that, see, generally I want to start with my darks. That's just, I think because I paint in watercolors, I have the white of the paper and then I put the dark of my darkest values in. But I know that makes people feel a little timid sometimes, so do whatever is comfortable for you because it honestly doesn't matter. We're going to blend this all out, so it does not matter one bit. I hope I don't sound too froggy. I've noticed that sometimes the first video of the day I'm like clearing my throat and sounding like a, I don't know. Excuse me. Oh my goodness gracious. Good grief. There we go. We got our dark values in. And then if you think you might want it a little bit lighter, you can go ahead and add some white in. Now the white isn't going to remain as bright because once the baby oil gets in there and breaks down the colors, the pigments, it's kind of make that white disappear a little bit. But you can go ahead and throw some in there. It'll just help you blend into your highlights. I'm just giving it around the edges and the lighter parts of my petals. Alright, so for the yellows, what I have here is a dark yellow and a light yellow. This is Spanish orange, actually, if you have Prismacolors. If not, whatever warm, buttery, brighter yellow you have is fine. Seriously. Don't go out and buy brand new pencils. See what you have. See if what you have works first. I do really like the Prismacolors. I'm adding a little of this, what is this? Canary yellow into my stem and leaves too, just for a little highlight. I've been using Prismacolor since I was 5, so talk about brand loyalty. That's that's a long time, folks. What would that be? 30, almost 33 years of Prismacolor loyalty. I've got this olive green, which you could even go a little darker if you wanted to. I am putting this in the shadow areas here. So, you know, I've always loved Prismacolors. They are my favorite, but there are other decent brands out there too. And if you already have some, then use what you have. You know, I find that Prang, which is a student grade, kind of a children's grade pencil, is just fantastic. And it's very cheap, and you have nice, and you can even get the larger ones that have really thick leads. But even the standard ones are good. And those are available at your office supply store. So that's a nice cheap alternative. They might not be as light fast as Prismacolors, but then again they might, who knows. I didn't add yellow on the petals on my demonstration there, but I thought it needed a little something else. This is lime peel, by the way. That's the color of this if you're following along the Prismacolor colors. And I'm going to use Copenhagen blue. You could use whatever you want for the background. I thought blue would be nice. But again, use whatever you like. Oops, I made a little boo-boo there. Hopefully when I blend it out I can fix it. I just went right into the petal with that blue. So I'm going to use 2 shades of blue. So that's why I'm kind of going around in the darker stippled areas with this. It's kind of, I kind of like this pointillistic stamp just because it kind of gives me a little framework to work in. I'm not worrying about like coloring a big background because I don't like to do big. That's why I work on colored paper a lot, because I don't want to worry about having this big white void. I want to have, you know, I want to have something in the background that's not white. And I'm not big on cutting, fussy cutting around things either. I missed a little petal here. I mean, missed a little bit of that leaf there. And maybe I'll just put a little pink over that blue, just try to disguise it a little bit. Alright, so now it's time to blend, and what I'm using is blending stumps, but if you don't have these, you can go to the dollar store and get a package of, oh, what do you call it? Pointy Q-tips. I don't know if that's the name or not, but they're in the cosmetics section, and they're basically Q-tips that have a nice point on them. You could actually use a Q-tip if you had a big enough design, but I'm using these. This is what the package looks like by Laurel Cornell, $1.39, and it was a pack of 4, I think, unless I took one out and forgot about it. And then I'm going to keep an end for each color. So I'll be doing my pinks with this end, so I'm just dipping it in the oil. Just plain baby oil. It smells so nice. It reminds me of when the kids were little. And look at this. We're just going to go in, try to keep my hand out of the way. I'm going to go in and blend. If you're having trouble seeing this, go ahead and look at the bottom of your YouTube screen and click the little button that makes it full screen. And that will be a little bit easier. The thing I want to mention though, once you start adding this oil, you're not going to be able to put any pigment on top. So once you add the oil, no more colored pencil is going to stick over it. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you have all the color in there that you want before you begin. The good thing about this is that it's a very quick technique, and so, you know, you experiment. If you don't like it the first time, do it again. Look at this. It's 8 minutes. This probably would have taken me closer to 20 minutes to color with the colored pencils. So since we're doing all this blending work here rather than layering color over color, we're actually saving materials and we're saving a little time. We'll check the back when we're done. We'll see on the other one that I did a few minutes ago if there's any bleed through, because if not, then it would be another advantage over your Copic markers, because you'd be able to do 1-layer cards without having to buy the super duper expensive thick cardstock, and that would be kind of cool. I'm working on Georgia Pacific, El Cheapo from, you know, Walmart and Sam's Club cardstock, so definitely an effect that you can achieve at home with the materials you have. Alright, I'm going to switch colors, so I'm going to go to green. I'm going to use the other end here. Now if your paper stump gets dull, use a piece of sandpaper to sharpen it. This is 150 grit sandpaper. And you can get that You can get it at the art supply store in a tiny little piece like this. It'll cost you way too much, or you can, you know, go raid your husband's wood shop, or just go to the, you know, hardware store or Harbor Freight or whatever, and get yourself a big old piece of sandpaper for less than what the little tiny one would cost you. I love the hardware store. My parents have a hardware store, and I grew up working in the hardware store, so I find it's like a second home. Went over to the hardware store. Look at that, blends so easily. Now onto the blue. And I do tend to go dark into light. I like to get the dark colors liquefied and then drag it into the light. That's my personal preference. And you can do it however you like. It's your card, it's your thing you're coloring, totally up to you. If you do get outside of the lines, then you can always just trim it. I left a little border on my card. I cut it out with some postal scissors that, I don't know what brand they are. I think I got them at the dollar store. And because I like, you know, faux postage on stuff and postoids and what have you. And then let's do, oh, before I do the yellow, here's a little what a trip, eh? Here's a little tip. I'm going to take this purple. I'm actually going to go in and put some shadows in, because the purpley color is the opposite of the yellow, and it'll make me kind of a nice rich brown. So I'm going in and adding a little bit of shadows there for a little depth. Depth of color. Where did my other stump go? That's odd. Oh, there it is. My yellow end. My yellow stump. And then what I'll probably do is just keep these stumps with my colored pencils so that I don't mistakenly use them with my pencils. My regular pencils. Drawing pencils, that would be. And there you have it. That was pretty darn easy. I think I used more pigment on that one because it's a little bit darker. And we can compare it with just using the colored pencils on their own, you know, all different looks. That's what about the background I was telling you. I just used a cut off this with some postage rubber stamps. To do the embossing here, what I did was I embossed a die cut piece. Actually, I embossed the paper first before I die cut it, and while it was still in the folder, I rubbed it with a hunk of wax, paraffin wax, and then I sprayed a couple mists over it, so then you got this white resist, which gave you kind of a whitewashed look. And then I just embossed the background and rubbed it with ink. So there you have it, a fun new technique for you to try. If you like this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss another crafty video. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.